So I don't know if you remember, but I think it was in May or June of last year, we began to hear that Battlestar Galactica would get yet another reimagining. Now, what we heard of the story sort of went back and forth. Was it going to be an entirely new reboot? Was this going to be a reimagining? Was this going to occur within the universe of the Battlestar Galactica series that ran from 2004 through 2009 and was, of course, led by Ronald D. Moore? Of course, that version was not just a fan favorite, but it won 39 Primetime Emmys out of over 100 nominations, and included what are now iconic characterizations by Katie Lee Sackhoff, Edward James Olmos, Mary McDonald, and of course, James Callis. Just as an aside, I hope Michael Hogan is doing better. I know a lot of us contributed to his GoFundMe after the rather unfortunate accident. The focus of why I'm bringing this up is an article in CBR this morning called Battlestar Galactica Reboots Showrunner Exits Project. After being announced as the Battlestar Galactica Reboot's creator, writer, and producer in 2020, Michael Leslie is leaving the project. Michael Leslie's other credits include The Little Drummer Girl for AMC, and he also penned the films Macbeth and Assassin's Creed. Now, there were all kinds of reports coming out over the last 6, 7, 8 months about what Leslie was going to focus the show on, and he wanted to do something that, quote, would break new boundaries, unquote, with his own vision of what Battlestar Galactica was. From what we heard, it seemed to focus on identity politics and representation. Which, when you think about it, and you look at the Battlestar Galactica series that ran under Ronald D. Moore, that included all of those elements. They were subtle, they didn't take away from the story, and they weren't the focus of the story, but they were clearly present. But apparently not to the standards of 2021. The article indicates that Leslie, despite being signed out to be the showrunner for Peacock, that is the NBC streaming service, for their upcoming Battlestar Galactica reboot, he has now signed on to write the pilot for a science fiction series based on the novels of Margaret Atwood, in which he will also serve as executive producer. In an article by Deadline, he indicated that he would no longer have time to be part of that Peacock reboot. Instead, he is going to go work with Hulu on Mad Dad-Dam, a television adaptation of course, a trilogy of novels by Margaret Atwood that covers the topics of corrupt power, young love, and sinister genetic engineering. Getting back to this reboot of Battlestar Galactica, Sam Esmail was the executive producer on this. He, of course, developed Mr. Robot, and he had reached out as recently as January of this year to Ronald D. Moore to make sure that things were going to be good with his vision of it. Quote, the last thing I wanted to do was step on his toes, and the one thing we both agreed on is that it won't be a reboot of what he did, unquote. Esmail went on to say, look, it's a big universe, it's a big world. I want to respect the Ronald D. Moore Battlestar. So there you go. Leslie is out as the showrunner, but they've still got Esmail as the producer. So again, there's not a lot of details as to what this would actually be, a reboot, a reimagining. Nothing would appear to indicate who a potential showrunner would be. In addition, of course, it doesn't look like anything's been written. Certainly nothing has been shot. And so, of course, there's no way in hell there's going to be a release date on this. However, this is one of those things where let's look at what the churn is. Let's see at what's going on. Sometimes these things, in my opinion, you get a sense of a greater wave of things that may be occurring within the industry or within what it is we're getting from a content point of view. Now, of course, it may be wishful thinking upon my part, and I think a lot of people's perception, that we just want good stories. We're not interested in the agenda. And maybe this has something to do with it, or maybe I'm just projecting. At the end of the article, this is interesting. A separate Battlestar Galactica feature film is also in the works, with Simon Kinberg penning the script. I am going to look up more on that because I really want to know what they're going to do with a one-off movie of Battlestar Galactica that could potentially be entirely unrelated to this other thing that Ismail is doing for Peacock. I'm not sure where Hollywood is going with this popcorn approach to intellectual property, not building worlds, not establishing a set canon to develop characters within it, but just, hey, let's slap Battlestar Galactica, or let's slap Star Wars, or let's slap Star Trek on something, and then see if it sticks. So who would be a good replacement showrunner for this Battlestar Galactica project? What do you think? All I know is I don't want anybody from Bad Robot. Can I get a so say we all on that? I'm Corey B, and you have been listening to Salty Salish C.